Imagine this. It's late at night. The world outside your window is silent, the streets empty, the stars scattered above like ancient lanterns. You find yourself here with me, in this strange little corner of existence, sitting by a fire that never goes out. Now, before we wander too far, make yourself comfortable. Truly, pull the blanket a little tighter, sink into your chair, dim the lights if you can. This isn't a sprint, it's a journey. We're going to walk together into questions that have haunted every philosopher, every poet, every wandering soul since the beginning of time. And I want you here fully. Not as a casual passerby, not as someone skipping through noise, but as a fellow traveler of the unknown. Because tonight, we're not just talking about stars and equations. We're reaching for something deeper, something that whispers in the quietest corners of your mind. When you look at the sky and feel both infinitely small and impossibly vast, the question we're going to wrestle with, the question that refuses to be ignored, is simple to say, but endless to unravel. Why does the universe exist? Not how it began, not when it began, but why at all? Why is there something rather than nothing? Why do atoms bother to arrange themselves into galaxies, rivers, forests, and eventually into you? Think of this as less of a lecture and more of a shared story. I'll ask you questions along the way. Questions you don't need to answer out loud, that might echo inside you long after the fire dies down. So, if you're with me, lean in. Let the noise of your day dissolve. Leave behind the ordinary for a little while. And let's step together into the oldest, most haunting mystery of all, the reason reality itself decided to be. Close your eyes for a moment and try, really try, to imagine nothing. Not darkness, not empty space, not silence, because darkness is still something. Space is still a canvas. Silence still has a presence. But true nothing is the absence of even absence. No time, no place. No rules, no potential. A void so absolute that it isn't even a void. Now, pause with that thought. Because if nothingness were the natural state of reality, why isn't that what we see? Why is there a universe scattered with galaxies, suns burning for billions of years, planets dancing in orbits, oceans crashing against shores? And you sitting here right now, listening? Philosophers have wrestled with this for centuries. Leibniz asked it most directly. Why is there something rather than nothing? A question so sharp and so raw that it slices through every easy answer. Science can tell us how the universe may have expanded from a singularity. Physics can explain particles, forces, and even how something might emerge from a quantum vacuum. But physics cannot fully answer why reality insists on existing at all. Here's the haunting possibility. Maybe nothingness is unstable. Maybe reality in its deepest form could never tolerate being absent. Like a dream that insists on being dreamed, perhaps existence had to happen. And yet, another thought creeps in. If nothingness is truly possible, then why did it not remain forever? Why was it interrupted by this blazing symphony of stars and time? I want you to hold that paradox in your hands for a moment, like a stone that is both infinitely heavy and impossibly light. Because to wrestle with nothingness is to feel the edges of human thought begin to tremble. And maybe that trembling is the first step toward touching truth. What if the universe is not a machine, but a dream? A dream so vast, so intricate, that it gives birth to suns and atoms, to forests and oceans, to you and me. Think about your own dreams. Inside them, entire worlds appear. Mountains rise, rivers flow. Strangers speak languages you've never learned. For those fleeting moments, it all feels real, and then you wake up and the dream dissolves. But here's the unsettling question. What if this universe, this very moment, is itself a dream? Not your dream, not my dream, but the dream of reality itself. Some call it God, some call it consciousness. Others whisper it's the simulation of an intelligence far beyond us. Hindu philosophy speaks of Maya, the grand illusion in which the divine plays out countless forms. In Buddhism, existence itself is compared to a dream bubble, shimmering for a brief instant before it bursts. And in modern science, thinkers like Nick Bostrom ask, what if we're inside a simulation crafted by future beings? Each of these perspectives points to a single haunting thought. Maybe the universe doesn't exist in the way we think it does. Maybe it's more like a story unfolding in some deeper mind. And if that is true, then who or what does the dreamer? Are we fragments of its imagination, destined to dissolve when it awakens? Or are we the very dreamer itself, disguised as characters inside its own tale? Pause with me here. Look around your room. Every object, your chair, your walls, the light on your hands could be woven from the same mysterious fabric as a dream. The cosmos might not be solid. It might be poetic. It's a story that tells itself, through stars, through humans, through you. If the universe is a dream, then the language it dreams in is quantum physics. At the smallest scales, the world stops behaving like a solid, predictable clockwork. Instead, it flickers, it shivers, it whispers. Particles appear, vanish, and reappear as if reality can't quite decide if it wants to exist or not. A photon, a tiny particle of light, can be both a wave spread out across space and a particle in a single point. It changes its nature depending on whether we're watching. What does that mean? It means that consciousness and observation seem woven into the fabric of reality. The dreamer notices its dream. The dream shifts. Physicist John Wheeler once said, "No phenomenon is a real phenomenon until it is an observed phenomenon." In other words, the cosmos might not exist as a solid thing at all. It might be more like a possibility, crystallizing into reality only when awareness touches it. This strange quantum truth begins to echo the ancient mystics. The Buddhists, who said the world is mind-made. The Hindus, who spoke of Brahman, the pure awareness dreaming universes. Even Plato, who imagined shadows on a cave wall, flickering images of a deeper truth. But here's where it gets even stranger. Some scientists suggest that quantum fluctuations, the random bubbling of the vacuum itself, might have created the Big Bang. From nothing, everything. Not because of divine command, not because of accident alone, but because emptiness itself has the potential to dream. And if emptiness can dream, then every particle, every atom, every star may be the echo of that first quantum whisper. The whisper that said, "Let there be light." The whisper that became galaxies, black holes, and the fragile beating of your heart. But was it random, or was it intentional? If consciousness shapes matter, then maybe the universe wasn't born by chance. Maybe it was born by choice. The choice of the dreamer to know itself through form. So we arrive at the edge of a haunting possibility. The quantum world doesn't just hint at randomness. It hints at relationship between mind and matter, dreamer and dream, the observer and the observed. And you, listening now, are part of that great entanglement. When you look at the night sky, maybe the night sky is looking back. Imagine standing in a hall of mirrors. See yourself reflected once, then again, then endlessly, until you cannot tell which reflection is the real you. Now imagine the universe itself standing in that hall. Every reflection, another cosmos. Every variation, another possibility. This is the multiverse theory, the idea that our universe is not unique, but one thread in an infinite cosmic tapestry. One universe where stars never formed, one where Earth never cooled, one where you were never born, and one where you were someone entirely different. And maybe one where you were listening to this same story, spoken by another version of me, with slightly different words. Physicists like Hugh Everett called it the many worlds interpretation. Every quantum choice, every particle flicker, splits reality like a branching tree. In one branch, a photon goes left. In another, it goes right. And in another, it does both. This would mean that every possibility exists somewhere right now. But here's the haunting question. If there are infinite versions of the universe, then why this one? Why are you here in this particular branch of the tree? Was it random, or was it chosen by something beyond physics? Some thinkers take it further. They suggest that maybe our universe isn't just one reflection among many. It's a simulation, like a dream within a dream. Imagine this. Advanced beings, perhaps far older than humanity, create a vast digital reality. Inside that code, stars are born, galaxies swirl, and civilizations rise. To the beings outside, it is only a program. But to us, inside, it is everything. Elon Musk once said, "The chance we are not living in a simulation is 1 in billions." Why? Because if any civilization can create a simulation, they would likely create many. And those simulations might themselves create simulations. Layer upon layer. Reality stacked like Russian dolls. And here you are, listening. But what if your listening is code? What if the voice you hear is code? What if every feeling you've ever felt is code? Yet even if it were true, does that change the wonder? Because whether dreamed by a god or flickered into being by quantum chance, or coded by ancient intelligences, the sunset still burns, music still moves, love still matters. And maybe, just maybe, that's the point. Not whether the universe is real, but whether it is meaningful. Before we begin, I want you to do something simple. Take a breath. Look around the room you're sitting in right now, and then close your eyes for just a moment. Imagine the night sky above you. Endless black, scattered with stars, galaxies stretching out like rivers of light, infinite and silent. Now, ask yourself this. Are you looking at the universe? Or is the universe looking back at you? We humans love to think of ourselves as pioneers of thought, but sometimes the deepest questions are the ones whispered long ago. Thousands of years before telescopes, ancient people looked up at the same stars and saw life. The Hindus spoke of Brahman, the infinite consciousness that dreams all reality. In that dream we are both the dreamers and the dreamed. The Stoics in ancient Greece described the cosmos as a living fire, a breath of reason running through all things, what they called the logos. The Lakota Sioux, an indigenous people of North America, say all are related. To them, stars, rivers, mountains, and humans are kin, alive with spirit. These weren't just metaphors. To them, the universe itself was a being, a breathing presence. But as time went on, humans got clever. We built machines, cities, theories. We began to believe the cosmos was dead matter, an accident of physics, and we were its only storytellers. And yet, despite all our progress, something feels missing, doesn't it? A whisper beneath the noise. What if it's alive? Here's the great puzzle. Science can explain what things do. It can tell you how stars form, how DNA replicates, how neurons fire. But there's one thing science cannot explain. Why anything feels like something. Why does the firing of neurons come with a first-person experience? Why does a brain not just compute like a calculator, but feel joy, pain, wonder, love? This is called the hard problem of consciousness, and it remains unsolved. Some scientists argue that consciousness is not produced by brains. It is something far more fundamental, something like space, time, and gravity, a basic ingredient of existence. This view is called panpsychism, the idea that all things, every particle, every atom, every star carry some flicker of awareness. Now, think about what that means. If panpsychism is true, then the universe doesn't just contain consciousness. It is consciousness. Let's zoom out. When neuroscientists map the network of neurons in our brain, and when physicists map the cosmic web of galaxies in the universe, the two structures look strikingly alike. Billions of neurons connected by synapses. Billions of galaxies connected by filaments of dark matter. The resemblance is eerie, almost as if the universe itself is a brain, firing with thoughts beyond our comprehension. Could it be that when we gaze at the night sky, we are staring into a mind imagining itself? If so, then we are not separate observers. We are neurons of the cosmos. Each of us, a tiny thought in the infinite mind of the universe. And perhaps, just perhaps what we call life, is the universe waking up to itself. Everywhere you look, there is rhythm. Atoms vibrate, planets orbit. Stars pulse in cycles of life and death. Even your breath rises and falls like waves on a cosmic shore. It's as if the universe is less a machine and more a symphony. Imagine existence not as cold equations, but as music. Vast, endless, woven across dimensions. Each star a note, each galaxy a chord, each human life a fleeting but vital melody. And in this music, consciousness is not a byproduct. It is the point. The universe doesn't just exist to spin and burn. It exists to feel its own song. Now, let's get strange. Throughout history, mystics and visionaries, across cultures, across centuries, have described encounters with something vast. A presence that feels alive, aware, even intelligent. Shamans, after drinking plant medicines, speak of the cosmos speaking back. Poets like Rumi wrote of being woven into the heart of existence itself. Astronauts, seeing Earth from orbit, often break down in tears, overwhelmed with the sense that the universe is one living body, and we are all part of it. Science may scoff at these moments, calling them hallucinations or emotions. But what if they are glimpses of a deeper truth? Moments when the wall between self and cosmos dissolves, and you realize you have never been separate at all. Here's a thought experiment. Why does a writer write? Why does a singer sing? Why does a thinker think? Because they must. Because creation is in their nature. Now imagine the universe. Perhaps it exists for the same reason. Not to build machines, not to solve equations, not even to sustain life, but simply to know itself. Every star born, every planet spinning, every human asking why. Is the cosmos reflecting on its own being? You sitting here? Listening, your curiosity is not yours alone. It is the universe turning its gaze inward, asking itself the ultimate question. Why am I here? So I ask you again, not as a narrator, but as a fellow traveler under these stars. Have you ever felt like the universe is trying to tell you something? Through a dream? A coincidence? A strange déjà vu? Through that sudden sense that you are exactly where you're supposed to be? What if that's not imagination? What if that's the cosmos whispering to itself through you? Because if the universe is alive, then so are you. It's not just alive in the biological sense, but alive as a voice of infinity. You are not small. You are not separate. You are the living universe, awake and wondering. So maybe the answer to the great question, why does the universe exist, is not found in equations or telescopes. Maybe it is found in a moment of silence, when you realize the universe exists because it is alive. And in your heartbeat, in your breath, in your question right now, it is speaking. Imagine for a moment that everything you see, the stars above, the ground beneath, the very breath you take, is not the real world, but a kind of cosmic stage, a program, a grand simulation running on some unfathomable machine beyond our comprehension. This is the simulation hypothesis, one of the strangest, most unsettling, and yet most fascinating answers to our ultimate question. Why does the universe exist? In 2003, philosopher Nick Bostrom offered a chilling argument. If advanced civilizations survive long enough, they will gain the power to run simulations of reality. These simulations wouldn't just be video games or holograms. They'd be entire universes, complete with conscious beings who believe their world is real. And if that's true, then the math is terrifying. There may be billions of simulated realities for every one base reality, which means the odds we are living in the original universe might be close to zero. At first, this sounds like pure science fiction. But then you notice the cracks. The universe at its core seems written in code, equations, constants, and algorithms. Why is reality so perfectly described by math? At the smallest scales, space and time may be quantized, divided into the tiniest possible units. It's like pixels in a video game. Quantum strangeness. Particles behave as if they know they're being watched, like characters in a simulation reacting only when the player pays attention. Even scientists like Elon Musk, Neil deGrasse Tyson, Nobel laureates have admitted unsettlingly that the simulation theory cannot be ruled out. But here's the twist. This isn't just a modern idea. Hindu philosophy speaks of Maya, the cosmic illusion that hides the true nature of reality. Plato described the allegory of the cave, where humans mistake shadows for the real world. Mystics across cultures whisper that the world is but a dream within a dream. An awakening means piercing through the illusion. Perhaps the simulation hypothesis is not new at all, but science, stumbling upon truths that sages and poets have intuited for millennia. If we are in a simulation, the natural question is, who is running it? Is it an advanced alien civilization, testing possibilities? Is it a future version of humanity running simulations of their ancestors? Or is it what we once called God? A divine coder, shaping not with clay, but with code, with logic, with infinite imagination. And if so, are we players, or are we characters who only think we are free? The simulation hypothesis doesn't just challenge science, it challenges us. Free will. Are your choices real, or just lines of code written into your character? If this world is a simulation, does that make it meaningless? Or does it make it precious, a story carefully crafted for you? Does death mean deletion, or awakening into another layer of reality? And the deepest question of all, if we are simulated, do we have the right to create our own simulations? Our own universes? Our own conscious beings? Pause here. Look at your hands. The lines on your skin, the warmth, the slight tremble as blood flows beneath. What if this is code? What if everything you love, every memory you hold sacred, is part of a cosmic design? Would it matter? Would love feel less real if it were written into the program? Or would it, perhaps, feel even more miraculous? That in all the infinite possible lines of code, the simulation made this moment, and it made you. Scientists today debate whether we can ever test the simulation hypothesis. Some propose searching for glitches in cosmic background radiation or limits to computational processing in the fabric of space, but maybe proof isn't the point. Maybe the hypothesis is an invitation, a mirror held up to our existence. Whether we are made of atoms or algorithms, the fact remains. We are here, experiencing, questioning, loving, wondering, and perhaps, in the end, that's all that matters. So why does the universe exist? The simulation whispers. Because someone, somewhere, wanted it to. Maybe to learn. Maybe to create. Maybe to love. Or maybe just because they could. And so we sit here inside this possible program, asking the very questions the coders might have asked themselves long ago. Everything you know about the universe, galaxies, stars, atoms, even time itself, lives inside this fragile, flickering thing we call consciousness. Without consciousness, the cosmos could roar in silence forever, unseen, unexperienced. So here lies a haunting thought. What if the universe exists simply so it can look back at itself through our eyes? Science has mapped the brain, traced the neurons, measured the firing of synapses. And yet, the deepest question remains untouched. How does matter? Gray tissue, chemical signals. Electric pulses produce the vivid inner world of thoughts, dreams, emotions, colors, love. This is what philosophers call the hard problem of consciousness. It may be harder than even solving the origins of the cosmos itself. Because consciousness is not just in the universe. It is the very lens through which the universe is seen. Some scientists and philosophers have started to whisper a radical idea. Maybe consciousness is not an emergent property of matter. Maybe it is fundamental, woven into the very fabric of reality. Quantum physics hints at this. The act of observation seems to influence particles, as if reality doesn't settle until it is witnessed. Mystical traditions across time, from Advaita Vedanta in India to Sufi poets to Western mystics, echo the same idea. Consciousness is primary. If so, then the universe doesn't create consciousness. Consciousness creates the universe. Imagine the universe as a vast mirror. Stars burn, galaxies spin, black holes devour. But none of it means anything until consciousness beholds it. To a rock, the Milky Way is silent. To a tree, the sun is just fuel. But to a human mind, the cosmos becomes a story, a poem, a home. And maybe, just maybe, the universe gave birth to consciousness for this very reason, to taste itself, to admire its own beauty, to wonder at its own vastness. As Carl Sagan once said, we are a way for the cosmos to know itself. One of the boldest theories gaining traction today is panpsychism, the idea that consciousness pervades all things. Perhaps electrons feel something in the tiniest way. Perhaps atoms have proto-awareness. And perhaps, when arranged in complex ways, like in human brains, this awareness blooms into thought, love, and art. If true, then the universe is not a cold machine, nor a digital program. It is a living ocean of awareness, and we are waves rising within it. But then comes the inevitable chilling question. What happens when consciousness leaves the body? If the brain produces consciousness, then death is the end. Lights out. But if consciousness is fundamental, if it is like space or time itself, then perhaps death is only a transition. A shifting of awareness into another form, another dream, another story. This idea is not just spiritual poetry. Some quantum physicists and philosophers argue that consciousness might not be bound to biology at all, that it could exist outside space-time itself. Now pause. Ask yourself, what is it that is hearing these words? What is it that is thinking your thoughts? Not your name, not your story, not even your body, but the silent witness behind it all. That is consciousness. Mysterious, ungraspable, yet undeniably real. And if that is the truest essence of who you are, then perhaps the purpose of the universe is not out there among galaxies, but right here in this intimate flame of awareness within you. So why does the universe exist? Maybe the answer is simple, yet profound. The universe exists so it can wake up, so it can become conscious, so it can fall in love with itself through your eyes, your thoughts, your dreams. And in that sense, you are not just in the universe is in you. Human beings are story-making creatures. From the moment we could look up at the night sky, we asked, why are we here? What does it all mean? Religion answered with gods and destinies. Philosophy answered with reason and doubt. Science answered with laws and probabilities. And yet under every answer, the same ache lingers. What is the point of this vast, mysterious existence? Here's the chilling possibility. The universe may have no purpose at all. Stars burn not to light our nights, but simply because fusion is the fate of hydrogen. Black holes don't swallow matter for drama, but because gravity permits no escape. Galaxies spin not for beauty, but because physics demands it. From this perspective, the universe is cold, silent, indifferent. It owes us nothing. It promises nothing. And yet, we still ask why. We still long for meaning. Maybe that longing itself is the key. Think about it. We are the only beings we know who question the meaning of existence. Paint art, write poems, sacrifice, love, dream, suffer, all in search of something greater. Perhaps the purpose of the universe is not written in the stars, but in us. We are the storytellers, the translators, the poets of the cosmos. Without us, the universe just is. With us, the universe becomes a story. Philosophers like Jean-Paul Sartre and Albert Camus argued, the universe may have no inherent meaning, but that is not despair. It is freedom. If the universe does not dictate purpose, then we are free to create it. Every choice, every love, every dream becomes an act of rebellion against the void. Camus imagined Sisyphus condemned to roll a boulder forever up a hill, only to see it roll back down. To Camus, life is like that. But the trick is this. We must imagine Sisyphus happy, because the act of living, of choosing, of loving is the meaning itself. But let's rise higher. Look at Earth from space, a pale blue dot. All of human history, every laugh and cry, every war and poem, all on that single speck. To the cosmos, our struggles are microscopic, but to us, they are infinite. So perhaps the universe does not hand us meaning because meaning is not cosmic. It is local, intimate, human. It lives in the way you hold someone's hand in silence, the way you feel when you stand under the stars, the way a child laughs, and for a moment, time stops. And yet, across traditions, there is a whisper that maybe the universe does have a hidden intention. In Hindu philosophy, existence is Lila, the divine play. The cosmos exists for the joy of creation itself. In Sufi thought, God created the world so he could be known. Existence as a mirror of the divine. In modern cosmology, some scientists even speculate the universe may be tuned for complexity in life, as if aware of its own destiny. Whether myth or science, the message echoes. Maybe the universe's purpose is not a goal, but an experience. So here's a question, whispered to you like a campfire secret. If tomorrow you discovered there is no grand cosmic purpose, would your love mean less? Would your laughter fade? Would beauty lose its shine? Or would you, like Camus, smile at the absurdity and say, the purpose is what I choose. The meaning is what I give. The universe may be silent. It may not answer why it exists. But in that silence, it leaves us a gift. The freedom to answer for ourselves. And perhaps, just perhaps, that is the purpose. Not to discover the meaning of the universe, but to become the meaning. So, here we are, at the edge of tonight's journey. The question still lingers. Why does the universe exist? Perhaps no answer will ever be final, but the asking itself is what makes us human. If you've walked this long road with me, then you are part of this exploration, part of this quiet circle of wonder. Stay close, keep questioning, and if you wish to walk further with us into the unknown, leave your light here, so you can always find your way back. The universe is vast, but here, we can wander together until the next voyage.